Hi guys, gnembon here and welcome to the second SciCraft log. For all of you observant in the SciCraft's history, this is not how the server looks right now. The reason is that again this project spanned across several months, but as you will see in total it didn't take that much time. Today our task at hand will be to build a Guardian XP farm, but what I will be mainly showing here is how to make in a relatively easy way a full mob farm perimeter given you know your world seed or better have access to the world backups. So we are here at the site to check the ocean monument, and it is in a relatively good shape, so our task will be not to remove it, but to preserve it somehow, while building a full 180,000 XP per hour farm. There's a bunch of holes in it, but all the chunks seem to generate fine. This is a 1.8 monument, it won't generate here in later versions, and these first monuments were prone to generate in a weird way, but this seems to be relatively okay. So let's get out. Check in here. As you can see, it has been raided, but nothing that we cannot rebuild based on a freshly generated world in 1.8. So that's fine. So let's start clearing. So I'm here in the middle of water clearing process using this simple contraption. This is just a torch with a repeater on some temporary blocks with piston, dropper and a speckle of redstone dust, which allows me to just sit here and play sand automatically. Obviously until it runs out of the push limit. With all of the sand here it fills fully 11 columns of the walls. So I can be here watching a video or something and simply continue rebuilding this contraption 11 blocks further. With the lines sectioned off, we section off these 5 wide lanes for manual removal. Some of you are probably screaming to use flying machines, but just a reminder, this was 1.9 and back then those Moses machines were clunky to use and we want to keep the monument 100%, so this seems to be a much better idea. And it is not that bad if you do it in a more systematic way like this one. In this case I just need a bunch of sponges and we'll place a sponge 2 blocks below the previous row, then move back 2 blocks by using something temporary and then sponge again. This way you can reliably remove 30 blocks of water every time you place a sponge. And it is also a very efficient way of using the sponges. Then when you are done with the row, you just need to break into a lower level and retrieve your sponges one by one carefully without losing any. And you should be done clearing in no time. About 15 minutes per one of those lanes. With half of the monument cleared out, we could notice that more and more guardians start to spawn around us and bother us. That's why we have these platforms here to create some temporary spawning opportunities for some extra guardians, because if they are spawning in this section over here, then they'll let us do our things in the other parts of the monument, like on the other side, there's also inside the building. These are relatively easy to put together. I have here 5 of these diamond-shaped pads, each containing just 1 water source block, so it's easier to remove it at the end. And this will just allow us to clean the rest of the monument in peace. So let's break the blocks and unleash the madness over here on this side. As you can see, we have created heaven for these varmints in here, so they will not be bugging us while we clean up the rest of the monument, including the inside. These inside rooms are easiest to clean, we just need to section them off with ladders so water doesn't flow from one to the other, and then very quickly place a few sponges. For most small rooms 2 sponges should be sufficient, but you have to be quick about it. Like so. Then grab back the sponges and continue to the other rooms. In these longer corridors I would suggest using a sugarcane technique that I learned from Nathan Ryan's strategy to the ocean monument. You start first by placing a row of sand or dirt, whatever sugar can grow on. You just continue to the end of the corridor and then place sugar canes on top of them. The convenient thing about sugarcane is that you can place it being in the sugarcane plant itself. This would also allow you to breathe easily, and this way it's also very easy to clean it up at the end, especially that sugarcane will just pop off by itself when you clean up the water around it afterwards. Now with these sections cut in half, just place sponges almost in the highest place of the ceiling and you can reliably remove water from this half of the corridor pretty straightforward way. With the entire monument cleared out of water, we can now remove our first temporary guardian trap. I already removed all the other 4 sources, so the entire structure hangs on just on this one water block, so if I pick it up, all the water should be eventually gone. And it's a really nice sight of this large amount of water body disappearing. So while this clears out, let's discuss what are the plans towards the walls of the monument. Can I get there? Not really. Let's discuss the walls first. We could have built some sort of a decorative wall to prevent water from entering the monument, but the easiest and the sickest way to do it would be to use water itself as a wall. So first step towards it was actually done at the beginning. So let me get down to the bottom and then we can see this how it worked out. So the outside walls I have deliberately placed on slabs from the beginning, and the reason is when we remove the bottom blocks, not only the clearing will be much simplified, but this also removes all the water supporting blocks at once. This also creates this kind of a water curtain, which looks really sick in my opinion. Now the issue here is definitely in the corner, because if we remove all the sand pillars, the water will start forming new blocks in the corner, which will flood the monument. So let me show you how we can fix this problem. Oops, I missed. So at the top we need to place 4 more columns of sand, or any other gravity blocks like so. And now we need to drop down and remove carefully these 3 pillars in the corner. Very carefully, not to remove other ones. Okay. Okay. And now we need to go down at the bottom and be very careful, not like me here. And then when we are at the bottom, remove these slabs and dig down 1 more block to make space for the water to flow down into. So when we remove the outer pillars, the water will have this extra space to go to. Let me get out of here. These pesky varmints. So now when we just remove these outer columns, they should merge the water streams perfectly around the corner of the monument. Will you help me go up? Not really, you're just useless. Okay, I like your XP. And as we can see, the water flowed down out to our hole and formed nicely this corner piece. And now it is safe to remove other columns of outer wall to create this nicely looking water walls. And voila! With outer walls out of the way, we can discuss the monument itself. The problem is that it is made out of solid blocks, and solid non-transparent blocks are no good for spawning, and we need to have them removed. And this is for all the blocks around and above the farm as well. So let's talk about the block palette for the monument. It is mostly made of these prismarine blocks of different types. In our case we will be replacing regular cobble prismarine with cyan stained glass, the brick version of the prismarine with light blue stained glass, the dark version with green glass. Now the sea lanterns replaced with end rods, as they also give out light, but they're also transparent. The sponge with yellow stained glass, because we had 1 sponge room here, and the gold is kind of a treasure, we'll press with beacons. Whoa! I think we almost got struck by lightning. It never happened to me that close. Now the monument is made of fixed outer shell that looks the same for every monument, with all these decorative bits sticking out. And has 3 floors made entirely out of cobble version of the prismarine blocks. The rest are these randomly placed rooms inside, with a few exceptions, and they all have very similar structure. So it will be also quite easy to replace with our new transparent block palette. So we are here in one of these rooms, which are 8 by 8 for the most part, and some of them are double long or double high, but for the most part they look like this one. And they have these decorative bits in the middle, made mostly out of bricks and sea lanterns. So we can deal with them first. Not to get confused later, like so. And then each room has its own unique wall structure, and in this case it's bricks on the top and the bottom, with cobble in the middle. And by removing just this wall, we can make sure that we are not messing up our blocks. And as you can see, rooms next to it can look very different, and it's better if we are replacing them separately. So let me quickly speed up this deconstruction and we'll see how it turns out at the end. Pretty snazzy. So that's how the monument turned out at the end. I must say it's pretty cool looking, and wouldn't mind if these kind of structures would be popping out in the world instead of the original monument. Now you are probably wondering what are these buildings on the sides for? Those are our new temporary farms that will help us make the spawn-proof perimeter around the area. So I marked out this area with sea lanterns, which defines these 21 by 21 square sections which will be spawn-proofing. So our goal would be to make a full perimeter for up to 8 full chunks out of the monument structure, allowing players to stay anywhere around the monument, not causing any mobs to spawn. And these 4 temporary guardian spawning areas will be helping us in 2 ways. The first was to reduce the number of mobs in the caves around when I was doing the caving. As you can see, the torch spam is real, but if you miss a spot or 2, it's not a big deal, because we will be dealing with those in a moment. And second role of these tanks was to let us know if we are leaving the perimeter area. If I was seeing suddenly lots of mobs around me, this was an indicator that we are leaving the area protected by these spawning chambers, and we might be outside of the perimeter and need to turn around. With caving behind us, the next step is to slap all the slime chunks. So I have generated this map here with all the slime chunks around the farm area. The minimum required area would be to slap slime chunks around the circle of 120 blocks radius around the center, which would give us on average about 20 chunks to slap. But I decided to slap all the slime chunks around the full 21 by 21 chunk area, which doubles the number of chunks to slap. Initially I thought this would be not worth it and blowing up the entire area might be a faster method, but it turned out that most chunks, if you look at them individually, had either no caves or might be one, or in typical scenario 1 or 2 sections of the caves to slap. Overall it took me 3 to 4 hours to do the entire area, so it didn't turn out to be that tedious task overall. So with our sloppy perimeter out of the way, we can finally remove all the stuff from the monument area and get to building the actual spawn-proof perimeter. For that we are running the world backup using the carpet mod, and as you can see we did a decent job, so there are no hostile mobs around the area at the moment. But to make sure we removed all the spawning spaces, we will hop in the minecart that goes around the monument and use one of the carpet mod capabilities, spawn tracking, to make note where are all the spots we have missed while manually torching the area. With the spawn tracking started, all the spawns from now on will be remembered in memory, so we can speed up the process if you want to do it by increasing the rates at which hostile mobs are spawning. Depending on your computer, you can go to different rates, but in my case I know I can safely increase it to 10 times. I wish you could do that in survival, because this way I'm also collecting lots of insects as well, so this makes quite a good insect farm. Now if we check spawn entities hostile, we will be getting all the hostile mobs currently registered by the game. We see it is empty, but typing spawn tracking hostile tells us about our first creeper and its location. So at this point we need to let the game go for a few minutes and get more of them to spawn. After a few minutes we can get a solid list of all the spawn locations and we can inspect them one by one, with both on the creative copy and the survival server fixing each of these cases one by one. Some of the situations include glitchy lighting, or at the end of the cave we haven't finished properly. The worst are the piles of gravel, because it's very easy to miss a spot with light level of 7. A single torch fixes the issue. Again, don't forget to place the same torch on a survival server as well. After a few iterations you will notice no longer that regular mobs are reported, but only slimes. This indicates our inadequate slabbing of the slime chunks, again very easy to fix. At the end I was running the game for a few hours to discover these kinds of spots. And these are very interesting because the chances of slimes to spawn in these locations are extremely slim. Consider this kind of spot for example, and assume for a moment it's perfectly dark in this area, and let's say that the chances of a mob to spawn in this one is 100%. Then in this kind of hole, since we have all solid blocks at the feet level, the mob would have to spawn exactly where the spawning algorithm starts, which is about 4% chances. Then among all the 5 major mob groups, only slimes can spawn here, so we need to take 20% of that. Then slimes have in general low chances of spawning, so we have to take 10% of whatever is left at the end. And also the large and medium slimes won't spawn here because of the blocks collisions around it. So in total the chances of a small slime to spawn here is 0.025%, so it's 40,000 times less likely comparing to a fully exposed spawnable spot like this one. So it's pretty impossible to find these without tools like carpet mod. With the entire perimeter completed, it's time to finally build a farm. It's a small task comparing to preparing of the perimeter, so I won't go too much into details with it, but I have received a few questions how to build these farms. My advice would be to build a shell first without any liquids, and then place all the water first. followed by lava, and release the water then at the end. So now I am placing all the water buckets, making sure that the water spreads in the entire area. And when all the water blocks are made of still water, I can cover them with solid blocks. In this case I use packed ice not to clash too much with the glass that we use to replace blocks in the ocean monument. In terms of placing the lava, I put slime blocks where I need lava sources to go. I also received a few questions, do I need to fill all these blocks with lava? And to be honest, I don't know. I have only tested with a full lava cover, and these days with shulker boxes carrying lots of lava is not a big deal anymore. So I'll be replacing all of these blocks here with lava, again, maybe unnecessarily, but better to be safe than sorry in this case. So now we are finally on the actual SciCraft server, and the farm is completed. And it turned out pretty cool. So this is a pillar I was using to take screenshots in the past. I'm at a small entrance here on the side, which leads to the staircase to the killing chamber. Obviously the farm has nether access, which is a little temporary at this moment. The reason is we are here very close to the 0-0, which is just over here, and there is a portal used to transport shulkers, and since that portal is around Y30, I couldn't get this one to link properly with the nether hub Y level. So we have this very much so temporary staircase directly from the nether hub, and if we fix the other portal we can then fix the access to this farm as well. So in the farm we have currently support for only sweeping edge swords, since potion brewing is currently broken, but it's obviously subject to change, as using potions is a little bit more convenient at the end. For swords, looting is typically an enchantment of choice, but in this case this would produce about 80,000 drops per hour, which would be a problem in the long run when AFKing at this farm. So I recommend not using looting on your swords if you don't care for your drops. This makes sure that the items can normally despawn even if you are AFKing at the farm without causing too much lag. So we have at most 20 to 30 stacks of items here hanging out at the most. Especially that we don't have currently pretty much any advanced item collection, just a few hoppers for now. So we'll do a quick test. How long it will take me to get to level 100? But first we need to get rid of the levels I have right now, and the easiest way to do it, apart from dying, is via sloppy enchanting. So I have here a bunch of spoons to enchant, and let's start losing levels. And as you can see, in a relatively quick manner, I created this efficiency 3 unbreaking 2 shovel, spending 85 levels on it, but we need a few more levels to go. And now with not a single level, we can start our test. Let's eat first. And off we go. Resistance and regeneration effects in the area along with all protection for diamond armor should prevent me from losing too much health and hunger. In fact, I verified that it is possible to AFK indefinitely here without food to get as much XP as you want. As you can see, getting to level 30 took me about 26 seconds, so let me speed up the rest of the test. At this point I'm getting to the end of the test. One more level to go. I need to change my food source in between, but the stream of XP orbs didn't stop flowing, so that's good. At 100 levels, in about 10 minutes and 20 seconds, with a few hundred of XP orbs to spare, it concludes ladies and gentlemen, that this farm is maxing out without any problems at 180,000 XP per hour. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all the jazz, and see you in the next one. Bye bye!